Mr. Bracknell says that we have 6:30. I'd like to welcome everyone to the October the 3rd City Council meeting. If you would bow your head with a short word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we do thank Thee for another beautiful day, Lord, that You let us live in Your world. And we come to Thee with heavy hearts, Lord, for all of the sick in this community that need Thy healing hand. Lost a police officer and his family, and we continue to pray Thy blessings on him and his family and his small children. Lord, be with them and bless them, because they will never hear the words, Daddy's home. Be with them and bless them and help them. And Lord, we also lost our commission chairman, our past commission chairman the other day. We asked Thee to be with the Bill Chapel family and bless them and help them and comfort their hearts. All of the others, Lord, and ask Thee to go with us through this meeting, Lord, and help us to say something to bring honor and glory to Your holy name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. If you will, I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, our new police officer, Chief, will you bring our new police officer up and introduce him to everyone?
Good evening, everybody. This is the new officer, Mr. Samuel, first name. This is Councilmember Baldwin. City Administrator, Bracknell, my brother, Simmons.
No board. Thanks, sir. Well, sir, welcome.
I hope you enjoy your stay while you. Yes, sir.
And we thank You for Your interest in the city of Temple, and we thank Thee for choosing us out of the many other places You could have went to help us. Welcome aboard. If you have any problems or anything, you know where everyone is. Thank you. You have a blessed day. Also, we're blessed with dignitaries here tonight, all the way from our school board representative, all the way up to Mr. Coward. So, Mr. Coward, if you will come forward and bring your entourage with you, we're just thrilled to have you here with us.
Well, thank you. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Great. We do have with us some representatives tonight from the school board. Ms. Sandra Morris, who represents the Temple area here. We appreciate her being here. We've got Dr. Christy Till, who's our assistant superintendent for human resources, here with us, and our high school principal, Mr. Tim Griffin, who most of you know is here with us tonight. So we appreciate them being here, and we especially appreciate you giving us an opportunity to visit with you. Before I get started, we did leave a couple of things at your place. One is a district annual report document that looks like this, and also you've got this document, which is specifically for the Temple students, the Temple cluster students. We hope that you'll use these and look at these and reflect on some of the good things we've got going on, and some of what I'll talk about tonight. The purpose for us being here is that our school board over the last several years has worked really hard to be a unified board of education. And one of the steps that they've taken to make this happen is the association that they belong to, which is the Georgia School Boards Association. They have levels of recognition that you can achieve by meeting certain standards. And one of those standards is called a Distinguished Board Recognition. And we received that last year, and we're applying for it again this year. And as a part of that, one of the things that we have to do is find different ways each year to reach out to our stakeholders to gather input and share information. So tonight I'm here to share with you a little bit about the progress of the school district, but at the same time I'm asking you as city council members of Temple to complete a simple 3-question survey that's sent electronically, should be sent to each of you. If you didn't get it, we can send it back out, because we would like your input. We'd like to hear from you what do you see that's happening with the Temple schools, and what do you see as our board plans for the future? What are some things that we might need to take into consideration? And this is one of the steps that we have to take to be recognized as a distinguished board. We're excited about it because what it's been able to do for us is I've kind of been on a tour. Been to Villa Rica, been to Mount Zion, been down to Whitesburg, Roopville, and going down to Bowden next week to visit with all the city councils, which has been a good step for us to reach out and share with each of you. I met with the county commissioners last week, and I've got a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors coming up too, to do the same thing. So let me talk a little bit about Carroll County schools. Many in this room have been in Carroll County for a long time, and in the past, the perception about the county school system often was that we were not exactly a unified school system. In fact, some people would say we were more a system of schools rather than a school system. You know, we had 24 schools, but each school was kind of going in its own direction. And in fact, each group of schools was kind of going on its own direction. Well, when the board hired us in 2010, one of the things that they talked to us about was that we needed to become a more unified body in our approach, and that they as a board would work towards that, and that part of my job as a superintendent was to make sure the school system works to do that. So we've worked very hard to be recognized as a school system over the last 6 years, and the board has done a phenomenal job in working together to be unified in that process. And I think it's reflective of many of the good things that you can see in this document that you've got in front of you tonight. So how did we do that? And how was that accomplished? One, they wanted to do it. Two, we used a couple of strategies that are not really very hard or not very new, but they worked really well for us. One being that we took the schools that we had, we clustered them, put them in groups. So for example, the Temple cluster has 5 schools in it. You have the high school, you have the middle school, and you have 3 elementaries, Temple Elementary, Providence, and Sharp Creek make up the Temple cluster of schools. And we've got 5 clusters of schools, and what we did is we asked each of those clusters to really work together vertically, from the high school all the way down to the pre-K classes in the elementaries. How do we align learning? How do we work together to move kids from one grade to the next so that they can be successful? How do we share common messages? How do we communicate a common brand? How do we work together to improve our programs, for example, music or science or athletics or whatever it might be? So the group of schools working together has really helped us grow not only here in the Temple cluster, but across the school system. The third strategy that we used is to be able to really focus on trying to invest back into those clusters. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in just a minute when I talk about facilities and technology and some of the other things. So these are 3 of the strategies that our board has used to try to make sure that we are recognized as a premier school district. And that's actually the vision that our board has set for us. They want us to have premier schools no matter what the zip code of our students are. Whether they live in Temple, Mount Zion, Central, Bowden, Villa Rica, it shouldn't make a difference. When they go to one of the Carroll County schools, we expect those children to get the opportunity to have premier education. So that's the rationale for why the board has had us move in this direction. So how have we done? You know, how does it look? Let me start with the part about investing back into the schools. Let's look at that. When you look at the Carroll County school system right now, we've got about 14,900 students. What's important to note about that is the Temple cluster has about 2,600 of those students, about 17%. But what's more important to note is over the last 6 years, when we came in 2010, enrollment in the county school system had bottomed out because of the housing situation, especially in the north end up here. But in the last 4 years, it has started to grow again, and we've grown 600 students in the last 4 years in the school system, which is a really good thing. And yes, much of that growth is starting to reflect itself back up on the north end now, both in Villa Rica and here in the Temple cluster. Because of that, the board made a commitment in 2011 when our voters passed the SPLOST extension at that time to really invest in the north end of the school system. So let me share some numbers with you. In the last 5 years, the school system has invested $14 million in the Temple cluster schools. That's manifested itself into a new gym here at the high school, a new athletic complex at the high school, turf on the football field, and after football season this year, we'll actually redo the complete home stands there at the high school. At Temple Middle School, we did a classroom addition a couple of years ago there. At Temple Elementary School, we built a brand new gym and just finished a huge classroom renovation. And we put technology and band and fine arts equipment money into these schools each year out of those SPLOST dollars. So a major investment, and that was a great vision that our board had and set a direction for us. So we've done that for every cluster, not just the Temple cluster. Because we knew that we needed to, if we wanted our schools to be premier, we needed to invest in them for them to be able to actually accomplish that. So we're excited about that. But really it manifests itself in three other ways. We talk about what we call the triple A's in the Carroll County school system. And I'm not talking about a classification for athletics when I say the triple A's. We focus on the academics, arts, and athletics. If we're going to be a premier school system, we need to provide children premier opportunities in each of those areas. And obviously it starts with academics. So how have we been doing academically in the Temple cluster schools? Well, one of the things I'm excited to share with you tonight, Mr. Gribbin sitting here from Temple High School, has the highest graduation rate this past year of any high school in Carroll County. 93%. Right at 93%. Okay? And that was a few years ago, they were down in the low 70s, and they brought that up to nearly 93%. Now we're excited because it's not just here that we're seeing great growth in graduation rate. For the district, our graduation rate has risen from 67% to 85% as a district in that same time period. So we're excited, and that's one indicator. Let me give you a second indicator of great success up here. One of the things that we're really trying to do with academically is give our students more opportunities in different ways to graduate, and to graduate on time with the skills that they need to be successful. And one of those ways is to get them involved in what's called the Move On when Ready program, or a lot of people know it as the dual enrollment program, where they're actually taking college classes while they're in high school and getting credit for those college classes, and it's not costing them dollars, not costing their family dollars to have to pay for those programs because they're taking it here in high school. Temple High School has increased dual enrollment students by 400% in the last 5 years. 400%. And the district as a whole has increased by 21%. But beyond that, we could look at some other things when it comes to academic recognition. Just this past year, Providence Elementary School was recognized by the Department of Education is one of the highest performing elementary schools in the state of Georgia. Oh, wow. So we've got a lot of good things happening, really positive things happening in our classrooms and our schools. Our teachers are doing a great job, our administrators are doing a great job, and we're excited about what's happening academically. But the second A that we want to focus on is the arts. We believe that we have children who are talented in music and band and visual arts and other ways, and that's one of the things that we need to do is provide premier opportunities. And you only, again, have to look over at our high school. In our high school band program 2 weeks ago, won the grand championship at the Bowden Marching Festival. First time that's been done in several years here, and that band program has grown from about 30 students 4 years ago to about what we're marching.
110 this year.
110 students marching in the high school marching band. Now, that carries over because the middle school band is equally doing well right now. So those two programs are working well together. Additionally, we've gotten chorus at the elementary school, and now we've got choral opportunities at the high school again. We didn't have that for a while. And just this year, we've got art back into the middle school and high school for our students. So we've really invested in trying to make sure students who are talented in that area have great opportunities, and they deserve that opportunity. And finally, in athletics, third A. We're very excited about where our football team is right now. We're sitting at 5-1, and best start we've had in a long, long time. We're excited about that, but that's just one example. Last year, the boys basketball team had a great season, second in the region, went to the state playoffs. Our boys track team won the region, and we had a number of good representatives in that high school athletics. But you go down to Temple Middle School, and over the last 2 years, we've won several middle school championships, football, basketball, and baseball down at Temple Middle School. Those athletes are transitioning up to the high school. So our board is committed to try to provide quality for our students in academics in the classroom, in the arts, and in athletics, and they deserve that. And if we're going to be recognized as a premier school district, then we need premier schools offering premier opportunities. But I want to share just a few more pieces of data, as if the ones I have not shared are not good enough. This past year, the Temple Cluster Schools had 254 community business partners. Now think about that, 254. 4 years ago, they had 107. Adult volunteer hours this past year, the Temple Cluster Schools had 17,602 adult volunteer hours. How many times do we hear people talk about parents are not involved in the school, community members are not in the schools? We'll start looking at that, and you recognize that we've got a lot of people going into our schools who are giving up their time and their efforts and their energy, and we appreciate it greatly. And so that's a great testament to the Temple community and what's happening. Here's a figure that I'm even more proud of. We have really tried to focus with our schools to help our students understand the importance of giving back. We think one of our obligations is to teach students what service is, being great citizens, and giving back to the community, working to help their fellow students and fellow adults. This past year, the Temple Cluster Schools had 6,659 hours where students gave back to the community. Think about that. That is a real testament about what we're trying to do and what the students here in this cluster are doing for those around them. In our end of the year survey of the Temple Cluster Schools, 95% of the parents who were surveyed said their students received a high quality education from the Temple schools. One of the things we're excited about this year, a new piece that our board has agreed for us to do with the Temple Cluster Schools, is we put a communities and schools site director that will serve between Temple High School and Temple Middle School. Now, why is that important? For us to continue to get better, we've got to continue to have ways to reach out to our community and to help children who have obstacles to overcome in trying to be successful the way we want to be successful. Communities and schools has been in place at Billerica High School for 3 years now, and been very successful, and our board saw the need for us to expand it into our other schools, so we're excited that person's already on board working between the middle school and high school right now. So that's another exciting thing that we've got going on. I could go on and on and on because there are so many good things happening, not only in the Temple cluster, but in the Carroll County school system. And I really hope that you'll take the time to look both in the district book that I gave you as well as the Temple cluster book at some of the other pieces that are important that we can be proud of. But I want to end on this, and then I want to open it up for any questions or comments that you might have as a group, and those in the room will be glad to respond if they need to. The bottom line reason that we've been able to see the success that we're seeing, yes, it's been important that our board has been more unified. Yes, it's been important that we've been able to use that cluster concept I talked about. Yes, it's important we've been able to invest a lot of things back into our schools because of the SPLOST, and we appreciate that. But the bottom line is, in Carroll County, we're very fortunate because people partner, people work together. And it's that partnership that we have now, and that if we continue to grow and work together, that what we can do for children is unlimited, both in Carroll County and in the Temple cluster. So what I'd like to end with is, you have partnered with us in a number of ways over the last several years, and we hope that moving forward you will continue to reach out to us when there's a way we can work with you, or we'll reach out to you when there's a way that we see that you can work with us. Because we're proud of what's happening up here. We want you to be proud of what's happening in the Temple cluster schools, and we believe that will help us reach where we want to be as a school district. So again, thank you for being here, and I'll be glad to answer any questions or receive any comments any of the council members might have.
I appreciate your presentation, and I did read the paper over the weekend, the headlines. It was a very good article. Got a lot of good information out of it, and I've looked over some good information here. And I've also heard for years that people want to be in the Temple School District at an address where they can go to Temple schools. So that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. We want to keep that going and actually accelerate it even more. Again, thank you for letting us come. We hope that this won't be a one-time thing and that we can come back in the future and continue to update you on what we're doing. Please complete that survey for us. We really would like your input. I know our board members would. And again, we appreciate the direction our board members have given us because it's helped to unify our school district and helped us improve what we do for students. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Calvin, and all of your staff. We are proud of this Temple school system up here. It's the First Lady of the state of Georgia came out last year and rented Providence Elementary up there. I'm telling you, it was a first-class deal. We were there, and Providence did a wonderful job, and she was not disappointed. And we appreciate that. We thank y'all for our new principal. The city has always supported our school system, even down to when you played on the rec field over there. The high school team always had first choice over there. If the high school had a ball game, that was it. And the city of Temple did not mess with that. They had first choice. And as the city council voted to give $25,000 of their splash money to support the new baseball field. We are proud of our school system, and we want to be a part of Carroll County, and we want to be included here. And as long as that is continuing to happen, you will find that you got all kind of support. And thank you for coming, sir. Okay, next item on the agenda is Mr. and Miss Jeff Moore. Are y'all one here from Mrs. Moore here?
I am here. I'm sorry Jeff didn't make it because I know all you guys have talked to him and know what's going on with the road. So I don't know if y'all had a proposal. I don't know if Mr. Watts is here, but he knows what needs to be done with the road. And our concern was from last year when the tree did fall in the shop, the water, even though the ditch has been put in, the culvert, it's still washing down by the shop. It's still all done. So like I said, I know he knows more about this and has talked to y'all than I have, but did y'all have a proposal of what y'all were wanting to do?
Okay, well, I thought we had that fixed over there, but if we haven't, we will come back and take another look at it.
Yeah, the problem is you did come and put the culvert in, but it's not deep enough. Mr. Watts has been out there and the water is still draining towards the house and the shop. The culvert really did not burst any of the water. You know, as far as just a little bit going down that drain, it needs to be widened. She had talked to him about that and he said, yes, it should be done.
Okay, we'll let Mr. Osborne see what we can do. We can get back in touch with you.
Okay. Well,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is Debbie McIntosh, Mr. Gerald Powell, attorney, Downtown Development Authority.
Mayor, we noticed that Richard Bracknell has the DDA on the agenda, and we would like to just wait and do it all at one time, please.
Okay. All right, any public comment? Yes.
Ladies first.
Take a moment. I'd like to apologize for the way I'm dressed. I work for the public library and I've been moving books all day.
State your name and where you live for the press here.
I'm Martha Goodson. I live in Carroll County, in Carrollton. Okay. I'm here as the Assistant Director of West Georgia Regional Library, which, of course, the Temple Public Library is the newest branch of. And tonight I just wanted to let everyone know that it's National Family History Month. And every October, as the leaves start to change color, it's a good moment to take some time to reflect on the fantastic communities and families we all come from. We have local history and genealogy collections at all of our branch libraries. In addition, we have access to genealogy databases like Ancestry.com, Heritage Quest, and many more through the library, all at no cost. Whether you're new to exploring your family tree or you're trying to fill in pertinent details in a well-established lineage, the library has resources for you. Thank you so much for your support of the Temple Public Library, and we hope to see you there soon.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming. Okay, any more public comment?
WGMI Radio brief. I'd like to thank the City of Temple and to Todd Rothwell for putting on Temple Founders Day. Having been a former Temple resident for many years in Temple County, I'm not a crowd person, but I did enjoy myself. It's finally to come to a festival here at Temple. Job well done.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Okay, approval of the minutes, December the 9th, 2015, executive session. Mr. Attorney, before, we always signed the executive session. Each council member did. Were we doing it wrong, or is this the way we need to do it now? Our other attorney told us that executive session minutes were, to be signed and kept separate by the clerk in case the judge wanted to subpoena them for anything.
The requirement is that they are kept separate. The clerk will have a separate place for them so that they wouldn't be open to the public as executive session. Normally, and I provided the clerk with an executive session affidavit. If you go in executive session, everybody will sign it. But everybody does not have to sign the minutes. The minutes of the executive session should have been provided to you in advance. Do you have those in your book? And if they were, and if there are changes to regular minutes, then you talk about those now and change those. If not, what normally is done, you adopt all your regular session minutes at one time if you got more than one, assuming you don't want to sit here and read every word of every regular meeting. Then with regard to your executive session minutes, they would be adopted as presented. If there is a change or a problem associated with that, we'd have to go back into executive session to discuss it. That's a long lawyer answer for the question of whether you all got to sign it, and the answer to that's no.
Well, I sure would feel comfortable if everybody's more comfortable if everybody signed it, sir.
Let me back up and say the reason you don't have to worry about that is because everybody's going to sign your executive session that day.
Okay. All right. So you're saying we should do the executive sessions one at a time or all of them together?
My suggestion would be for ease of review that you do every regular council meeting together at one time unless there's questions about any of the particular minutes. If anybody on the council has questions, then you can take those up. But the first order, Mayor, would be if you look at the agenda, you're talking about regular council meetings March 7, 2016 going forward to the last regular or special meeting was September 27. There's questions about any of those public meetings and the public minutes. Y'all discuss those now, Mayor and Council.
Yes, sir.
Can I make a motion that we accept those as a
certainly
unit
can.
affirmation?
You certainly can.
That's a great motion.
That
You
is.
go too long.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Walton. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's carried. Okay?
Second thing would then be executive session. And the question is, you have an executive session minutes of March 7, 2016, and one of April 13, 2016. Are there questions about the executive session minutes from the mayor or any members of the council?
You also have December the 9th, 2015, sir.
Thank you. And right up there at the top, I didn't see it. So you got three of them. Questions about those? If not, we go back to the same unanimous acclamation, motion and second, you can approve all those executive session minutes.
Make that same motion.
Motion, Mr. Bracknell, here second.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Simmons. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I just want to abstain from the December 9th, 2015, as I wasn't sitting then, so.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Okay. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Mr. Rockwell abstained from December the captain. That has got that.
No, there are two special call meetings. Would that require a different motion?
No, sir,
Okay,
yes, sir.
gotcha. That's it.
Okay, the first item on the agenda, old business, adopt a resolution to set the 2016 millage rate for City of Temple. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, sir, you have a resolution in the tab, in accordance with action taken by the city council in the special call meeting that you asked us to, in our advertisement, to show the village rate as being 6.500 mils, and that's what we did, and that's what's in the resolution. Mr. Mayor, I don't know if you want myself, the attorney, or someone to read that, or how you want to handle it.
Go ahead, sir.
This is resolution setting the 2016 millage rate for the city of Temple, Carroll County, Georgia. Whereas the city of Temple City is a municipal corporation duly organized and existing under the laws of the state of Georgia and is charged with providing public services to residents located within the corporate limits of the city. And whereas the mayor and council of the city wish to adopt a resolution levying a millage rate which is established for the purposes of financing in whole and part the city's expenses for fiscal year 2016-17, and whereas the mayor and council of the city, after hearing and duly considering all such relevant evidence and public comments, have concluded that it is considered in the best interest of the city to levy a millage rate of 6.500 mils for all property subject to ad valorem taxation by the city. Now therefore the council of the city of Temple hereby resolves as follows. Approval. The city council of the city of Temple hereby approves and authorizes that the millage rate of the city be set at 6.50 mils for the fiscal year of 2016-2017. Approval of execution. The mayor is hereby authorized to sign all documents and perform all other acts necessary to effectuate this resolution on behalf of the city of Temple. The city clerk is authorized to execute, attest to, and distill any document which may be necessary to effectuate this resolution, subject to approval as to form by the city attorney. Severability. To the extent that any portion of this resolution is declared to be invalid, unenforceable, or non-binding, that shall not affect the remaining portions of this resolution. Repeal of conflicting provisions. All city resolutions inconsistent with this resolution are hereby repealed. Effective date. This resolution shall be effective on the date of its approval by the city council and mayor as provided in the city charter. So resolved, this as being the third day of October 2016.
Your motion we approve the resolution.
I make a motion to approve.
Got a motion, Mr. Bracknell, to approve. Here second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Simmons.
Rockwell.
Mr. Rockwell, okay. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I just want to make it clear that with a minus $3,315 from that millage rate, that will not represent an increase, is that correct?
No.
According to the state of Georgia,
It does.
it will represent an increase.
Even with a minus $3,315.
Well, to roll it all the way back to the 6.0, which the state would require you for not to have an increase if the budget would take a $60,000 hit. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's Texas. And Mr. Walden, so that is 3-2-1. Walden opposes. Okay, item number 2, update report from the City Recreation Department plan for staff and park operations for the remainder of the current fiscal year. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, Joe Wilson, our Recreation Director, is tied up with ball games tonight. Been giving you a memo actually before your September meeting. Basically, we had a vacancy in our park maintenance director, and we opted to take a different approach for a while, namely using a private company to do the grass cutting and some field maintenance, and then with Mr. Wilson and one member of his staff kind of handling other things. Mr. Wilson wanted to try that for the rest of the year to see how that worked, and that's what we're doing. We'll be talking with you during the budget process to see what you want to do for 2017. No action needed, just a report to you.
Okay, thank you for the report. Number 3, status report on the Land and Water Conservation Fund project in the City Park, which is nearing completion. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, a very brief report that we have from Howard Ray, our city engineer. He said no change this month. I would expect we'll do some things once we start getting some rain. We'll be working on grassing. We still have a little over $3,400 remaining in the budget that you set up. Hughes Ray has requested final inspection of the project from the Land and Water Conservation grant project from EPD and DNR, and they're tied up at this point on dealing with new applications. They will do the inspection once the process is over. We will have hopefully moving to a final report hopefully next month.
Okay, thank you for that. Item number 4, status report of staff recommendation concerning the current senior discount on the City of Temple's utility bill. Mr. Osborne.
This is something we've talked about several times during this year. You do have a memo dated September 6th. 3 points I want to make at the moment. As you know, we have about 267 families receiving the $6 per month discount on their utility bill. This equates to what might be identified as a loss of revenue for the year of a little over $19,000. As I said to you in a memo recently, if you look at the requirements we have on the water bond repayment schedule, we've got to come up with an additional $20,000 for calendar 2017. One way you could do that would be to eliminate the senior discount. But if you decide to keep the senior discount, we had said we need to communicate with those families, because none of us know how many of those families currently getting the discount actually have a senior who is the primary wage earner or the head of the household. And you have said that that's something that you would like to be able to determine. And if you wish to do that, then we would propose that we do a survey to be sure of who is the head of household for those 267 families. Likewise, if we did that, we probably have some eligible families here in Temple who've not signed up for this program because they don't know about it, and we would need to let them know so that they would be able to sign up if they're eligible. If you terminate the program by the end of the year, it's a moot point. While I had said to you we needed an answer by this meeting, if you're ready to decide what you want to do, fine. If you want to think about it, then have some discussion when we meet with you later this month in the budget process. If you make that decision the 1st of November, we could still do the survey. We just would like it to be effective with whatever the results are with the start of the new year. I'd be glad to try to respond to questions.
Questions from Mr. Osborne? Yes, sir.
Let me just make a couple of comments. I know on the original ordinance that was done, we may be deviating from that. The requirements were that the person had to be 65 years old and be a citizen of Temple. They had to submit proof of age with their application. And first and foremost, they must be the named applicant on the order account. And I think if we got it narrowed down to those specifications, then, you know, it's going to eliminate quite a few of them, I would think. And I know for a fact that they have been senior citizens to pass on, and they're still members of the household receiving the discount. So if we did send out something, having them to requalify, I think it would eliminate the problem. But that's just food for thought.
Anybody else got any comment on that? Yes, sir.
If that's the pleasure of the Laker Council, to do the survey to try to determine that, but whatever y'all want to do.
That's what we're trying to figure out, what they want to do.
And I did mention before, there's always a possibility, since we've got some building going on, we have not been putting sewer tap fees and water tap fees in the budget. It would only take 3 sewer taps and 3 water tap fees in the budget to produce $16,500. It's more than something to consider.
I think we need this survey because we don't know what we're talking about.
Making a motion, sir?
I make a motion, we do the survey to find out what we're talking about.
Okay, got a motion, Mr. Bracknell, to do the survey. Second?
I'll say.
Got a second, Mr. Wallen, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Number 5, staff report on 2 proposals for display of flag banners. Mr. Eberhard.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Back in the August council meeting, I provided 2 banner selections that we got designed for to enhance beautification. And we had a recommendation to send out a survey to the citizens. We did the survey, we got about 100 responses. And what we came up with, the citizens actually chose 8. And I don't know if you guys have this in the packet.
They do have, if you flip over, you do have the attachment.
So if it is the pleasure of the mayor and council, we will proceed with the 8, and we'll go ahead and purchase 10 of these at the price of $1,732.58. And again, this will go for your choice. We can either put them around the city hall area, we can put them around the downtown area, so wherever you guys select. So.
And didn't the council already vote to do this next survey, and whatever that was chosen by the people to be it, or do we need another motion? I thought we already voted for it.
We voted
He needs to have the location where to put them. He needs to know where to put them. I think that's what we need to decide.
All right. Just tell him where to put it.
How many are there? I'm sorry.
We're going to get 10.
10?
Right.
I was thinking, you know, the corridor they have, there's a huge corridor, there's this corridor here, which might be across this, something that would be appropriate on that corridor.
Why couldn't we move them from time to time?
Probably do that.
We don't do one place a month too, and then we look at it. It's possible.
And conceivably, these could actually be changed out, like the Founder's Day or whatever, right?
Right. Because we could get Founder's Day flags that are the same size, you know, wherever you guys select, you know,
Or 4th of July.
or 4th of July, whatever.
Would it work pretty?
I think this is a favorable spot here.
Do we need that motion? I make a motion that we put it in the corridor here, City Hall corridor.
Motion, Mr. Brackman, here, second.
Second. Mr. Wall, any discussion?
One question.
Yes, sir.
That is coming out of the beautification grant?
Well, no, not the beautification grant, beautification line item.
Okay.
Any questions? Those signify by saying aye. Any opposed? It's carried. Okay, don't move. Update concerning compliance with state of Georgia requirements for stormwater management and recommendations from engineering firm Hughes Ray, MS4, sir.
We met with the company about 2 weeks ago, me and Mr. Osborne. And I think we came up with a figure of the 12.5 is what's going to be needed first. I think we talked about that in our August council meeting as well. And what we did, we budgeted for the 2017 is an additional, I think, 32,000 that will actually complete the MS4 to get us caught up for 2015 as well as 2016.
Yes, sir. Just adding one thing to what Mr. Everhart has said. You remember back when he reported to you and Mr. Ray, we had basically 3 projects. One you approved, and that's underway, and that's was 12.5. We also have to deal with the 30% storm drain mapping phase 2. It's $30,000, and we're looking at basically about 12.5 of that we can pull out of this year's budget. And we would like for you to approve us being able to go forward with this particular project. We would schedule the project so that 12.5 come out of this year's budget, and you would not need to pay the remaining 17.5 until next year's budget. But the bottom line has to be completed and has to be sent into the state by February 15. So we can't wait until the new fiscal year is started. Otherwise, we will be in trouble with the state. So we'd really like Mr. Blair, members of the council, we know we got to do this. Not a question of whether or not we want to do it or not. We know we got to do it. If we can go ahead and get you to approve us moving forward with this Hughes Ray and working with the Waterworks group to proceed with the 30% storm drain mapping phase 2.
Okay, y'all have heard Mr. Osborne and Mr. Everhart's request. What is your pleasure?
Oh, motion.
Got a motion, Mr. Second. Second by Mr. Bracknell. Any discussion?
It's just another one of those unfunded mandates that you can't avoid.
Unfunded mandate, and it's only going to get more expensive every year. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's carried. Okay, number 7, approval of agreement between the City of Temple and Absolute Environmental Plumbing, LLC, for removal of disposal of certain waste from the city sewers treatment plant. Mr. Osborne.
Mr. Mayor had met on that with our new city attorney, Mr. McRae, and Mr. McRae wasn't sure if he wanted us to go forward with an agreement or wait till next month. They're providing a service at this point, so we can wait until next month after you got everything more in line and so forth.
I think I want to ask the pleasure of the council about these matters in general. Is this the group, Mr. Osborne, that is in Alabama?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And the sludge is going to be taken across state lines. We're going to have some agreements about disposal, because they're going to be disposing of it over there. Environmental protection for Temple. I hope you don't have a problem. If you did have a problem, we're going to want to be sure that problem is handled here, not in Alabama. Some kind of contractual issue. And those matters are what we call jurisdiction across state lines, such as, for example, Harrison County has an agreement, a wheeling agreement to buy water with the city of Anderson. Harrison County Water Authority does. So we have an agreement that deals with Alabama and with Georgia. So the question I have for you, this agreement is going to be somewhat complicated, probably 8 to 10 pages long. You can approve the concept tonight, subject to the city attorney and city administrator preparing the agreement, or you can table it to your meeting on the 27th. I'll have it prepared next week and I'll send it to you. And y'all can look at it ahead of any approval. I don't know how you normally do things, so I want to do it the way y'all want me to.
Any questions?
If we have to have it, and it has to fit the law, then I make a motion we do it pending the city attorney and city administrator doing it right.
Very good.
Does that work?
Yes, sir.
Here, second. Second that motion. Second, Mr. Wallen, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That's carried. Number 8, rescind the city council's action of June 6th to approve an amendment to the solid waste collection, transportation, and disposal agreement. It is the same thing, Mr. Austin?
Yes.
Yes, you need to go ahead and, there's something different than we just acted on. Go ahead. What do you need? Well, basically, if you remember, we had passed the new agreement with Waste Industries. They made the mistake, they had a document that said in one place that they would do curbside recycling collections on a weekly basis. What they had been doing was on a bi-weekly basis. They caught their mistake, they refused to sign the agreement. What they have told us is that they will be glad to provide a second container to anybody who needs an extra container to do on recyclables. What we're proposing that you do is to rescind that previous agreement, which Waste Industries is not going to sign, and then approve a first amendment to the agreement, which is what our former city attorney had prepared. But the bottom line means that the only change in the agreement from what you had previously approved in this one is that residential curbside recycling will take place on a bi-weekly basis rather than a weekly basis. If somebody needs more space, they'll give them another container. Okay. Your motion. Got a motion by Mr. Simmons.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bracknell. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Sure. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 opposed. There, Kristen, Mr. Rockwell. Okay. Number 9, review of the organization, membership, and status of the city of Temple, this downtown development authority. Mr. Bracknell.
Yes, sir. I have this, the resolution there in front of you, and each of the councilman and city administrator, I'd like to propose in meeting with the downtown development authority.
Got a resolution, and like I said before, I have a member that I have appointed in 2014 that was taken off of this list, and I strongly object to that being happening, and I want my appointment put back on there. So, you want to read the resolution, sir? Yes, sir. A resolution to abolish the Temple Downtown Development Authority of the City of Temple, Carroll County, Georgia. Whereas the City of Temple City is a municipal corporation duly organized and existing under the laws of the state of Georgia and is charged with providing public services to the residents located within the corporate limits of the city. And whereas the mayor and council of the city wish to adopt a resolution to abolish the Temple Downtown Development Authority under the laws of the state of Georgia, OCGA 36-62-14, and whereas the mayor and council of the city desires to follow the recommendation of the Three Rivers Regional Commission report advocating the reorganization of the Temple Downtown Development Authority, now therefore the council of the city of Temple hereby resolves as follows. Section 1, approval. City Council of the City of Temple hereby dissolves the Temple Downtown Development Authority under OCGA 36-62-14, Section 2, approval of execution. The mayor is hereby authorized to sign all documents, perform all other acts necessary to effectuate this resolution on behalf of the city of Temple. The city clerk is authorized to execute, attest to, and seal any document which, and I'm missing the next line, I think, it goes to section 3, severability. To the extent any portion of this resolution is declared to be invalid, unenforceable, that shall not affect the remaining portions of this resolution. Section 4, effective date. This resolution shall be effective on the date of its approval by the city council and may as provided in the city charter. So resolved this third day of October 2016.
Hear a motion?
I make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Got a motion, Mr. Bracknell, to adopt the resolution. Here a second.
Second.
Hey, Mr. Walden, any discussion? Yes, sir, Mr. Rockwell.
I just wanted to ask the attorney and make sure that we're within the bounds of our city charter, Constitution of the state, Constitution of the United States of America, to act on this.
If your question is that you have the authority as the council to abolish the downtown development authority, the answer to that is yes.
Thank you.
Any more questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Got 3, 4, and 1 opposed. Kristen?
Mr. Mayor, may we bring up what we were going to originally?
Okay, number 10. Adopt a resolution to set the time and date for public hearing by the city council on the rezoning request for 268 to 282 Carrollton Street for special land use permit for 101 General Park Drive. Mr. McRae.
Mayor and council, you'll remember that you, I think at your last meeting, did not act on a potential rezoning request. You decided to table the matter. I met with the administrator, the clerk. There's going to need to be a new resolution for a public hearing, which would be on October the 27th, which I think is on a Thursday. And we talked about that date. You may recall under state law, you have to give notice not less than 15 days, no more than 45 days of the public hearing and review of the rezoning request. So this would only authorize the adoption of a resolution to set the hearing. That's all it does. Doesn't have anything to do with the rezoning of the properties or the special use permit for the church. For members of the public who may have an interest in this, and for the mayor and council, remember the first request is for the, I call it the Willite property close to City Hall, that they want to rezone from residential to commercial. And the second one is for a special use permit at the shopping center to allow a church to use that. What will happen between now and the hearing is that I'm going to prepare documentation for you to review about that. Ms. Willite has a lawyer, as you know, that sent you a letter saying you're required by law to rezone the property. I'm going to be sending you a memo about that and certain conditions as it may relate to that issue that I talked to the mayor and the city administrator about and reviewed your zoning map. Secondly, the church's permit is what I refer to as a special use or conditional use permit. That is, you're going to let somebody have meetings, a church in this case, at a shopping center, provided it has certain parameters or uses. And that would be things like that the meetings would be in reasonable things. Indoors, you'd have worship services there normally when church services are there. You wouldn't have services between 12 at night and 8 in the morning or some things like that, and on times when they normally meet. I've asked the city administrator to prepare a list of those conditions. I want to go over that with the pastor and anyone else in authority with the church. I want them to provide that to you ahead of the meeting. And special use permits, different from zoning, those special uses are y'all's uses. I mean, again, it may be a very simple thing in this case, but I'd say to you, I don't know how many you'll have in the future, but say it again, the more uses you have, special uses, the more you're able to determine proper use of the property for whatever it may be. So those are the two matters that will be on the agenda for consideration on the 27th. One last thing I want to tell you is you'll have folks that have the right, when you conduct the hearing, to speak for it, folks that want to speak against it. Then we'll close, and you have the right, of course, to ask questions on either one. Close the public hearing, and then we'll have a review and vote on both of those matters. Questions about the procedure? I'm just starting here, and I want to be sure we kind of understand kind of the way we normally do it. Be sure we don't have an issue there.
Any questions from Mr. Simmons?
In both of the cases, are you gonna advise us as to what our options are? For example, like you said, Mrs. Wilhite have an attorney, and her attorney said that we are obligated to make the change. Are you gonna advise us as to whether we are obligated or not?
Yes, sir. And what I want to do ahead of time is, and I normally like to do this, is to send you a memo about my thoughts about it. That's legally privileged, but I want to give you that advice ahead of time so you can look at it. If y'all got questions of me, I'd like to do that ahead of time. I think it's important for y'all to be able to think about this ahead of time instead of coming to the meeting and have to deal with it. And especially since a lawyer's involved, and he said, you got to do it. So let's go back to your question. And the question from McCray is if you got to do it or not. And if you got to do it, for example, in some instances, we put conditions on there, such as, and I'm not prognosticating what occurs, but Katy Street is right down below that. One of the conditions may be you don't use Katy Street, which goes into a residence as an entrance into the, what I think is proposed as a Dollar General, I believe. Is that?
Yes, that is correct, sir.
That's right. So those are the kind of things, Mr. Simmons and Mayor and council members, I'm going to be going through with you by memo. And again, like we kind of said, you're welcome to direct those questions through the mayor or the city administrator. That I got the lawyer memo, and kind of like I'm doing now, he ran off for 3 pages. I don't understand what he said, so I hope it's not that bad. But if it is, talk to the administrator or the mayor. Let's be sure any questions you have about my legal opinion and why are answered before the meeting.
Any more questions? Mr. Craig, do you have the resolution, sir?
No, that we will have a resolution for adoption. We just ask that you approve that for the public hearing.
So all you want is a motion to set October the 27th as a public hearing and a special call meeting?
Yes, sir, because it will be at 6:30 for a special call meeting to consider the resolution on the rezoning request and the special use permit for the church as set forth in this agenda.
So the motion should be for both of them?
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion.
Sir, here a second.
I will, sir.
Second, Mr. Simmons, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, that's carried. Okay, new business. Approval of the subdividing of the property of 7.8087 acres located at 395 Villarosa Road, being in land lots 139 and 150, District 6, Carroll County, identified as the Villarosa Townhomes, also known as the Westshire Townhomes. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, sir. This came up about 3 months ago, and you let it be known that in theory that you were supportive of what was being done, but we had to go through the process with the zoning board and then bring it back to you, which we're doing at this time. There was support for this when you discussed it, and the first time around, not sure if we've got anybody from, we do, Mr. Mayor, somebody come up. But this is to complete the process that you require I would just point out that it does include the stipulation for mutual covenants and easements, so no walls, fences, or barriers can be placed between these two subdivided properties.
Okay, any questions? Your motion?
Make a motion.
Got a motion, Mr. Brown?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rockwell. Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Got any questions for us, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 2, Mrs. Ransom's not here. Is your motion we take this off of the agenda for next month? Mrs. Ransom is not here, so Mr. Attorney.
I make a motion to take that off.
They got a motion, Mr. Brackman, to remove Mrs.
Item
Ransom.
number 2 on new business.
Item number 2, your second.
I will second.
Got a second, Mr. Simmons. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any approved? That's carried. Item number 3. Brief report on current staff level activities to develop a preliminary budget, Mr. Osborne.
Just very briefly, we're in the process. We've had our second round of meetings with department directors. Things are going pretty smoothly. We still have a lot of work though to do, and I did include another copy of the calendar. We will be over the next 2 weeks trying to work out some problem areas. Proposed budget is to be submitted to the City Council by Friday, October 21st. And then I think we would, from my standpoint, we would like to be sure we schedule some type of 1 or 2 work sessions with you before we move too far in the month of November. We have to start talking about how the budget finally will look. But no action needed tonight.
Okay. Item number 4, adopt a resolution to authorize the payment of additional compensation to the City of Temple employee Craig Lee for 11 weeks he served as interim police chief while continuing to be paid the same salary he had been receiving as police major. Mr. Osborne.
I make a motion that we table this item until our December meeting.
Got a motion, Mr. Brackman, to table this item to December meeting. Here a second. Second, Mr. Walden. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Staff report on completion of the City of Temple's current local maintenance improvement, LB grant resurfacing of Carroll County Public Works Department, and funding for assistance from the Georgia Department of Transportation. Mr. Everhart.
Mayor, Council, briefly, just want to let you guys know, hopefully you guys have seen that the work has been completed, the paving of Rome Street as well as Asbury. We also had double D to Carrollton Stripe as well as Montgomery Street, from Sage Street to Matthew Street. So the 2016 LMIG has been completed, and we need to go ahead and make submission for the 2017, what streets you guys are looking at, or which one street that you guys are looking at. So we can go ahead and get that turned in as well, as you guys know, the deadline for that is December 31st.
Get it turned in.
So we need to have ideas for that November as well.
Anybody got any questions for Mr. Everhart? Okay. Bring him some street names. Okay, item number 6, staff report concerning proposed improvements on property of the housing of the City of Temple's Public Works Department. Mr. Everhart.
While he's coming back up, if y'all would go to the very back of your agenda book, the last attachment, you will find my memo that reminds you of kind of where we've been, and then you've got a proposal that Shep Hart will be talking to you about.
Yes, this is a proposal. I don't know, again, if you guys have had an opportunity to read Mr. Osborne the letter that he sent me in reference to the addition that I'm trying to add to the building. Right now, I have no office space. We have community service workers that are in there. And there's no privacy. If I need to talk one-on-one to an employee, I have no way to do that. You know. We also have some. We also have some building issues that we need to address. We have rain that enters the building every time it rains. We have electrical equipment. There's a hazard there. And as a result of the rain that is coming in, we have a mildew, a mold issue that is starting to form. And as you guys know, everyone that enters that building, their health is at risk. So we need to address those issues. And this proposal that I'm giving you will address all of those issues. Mr. Harrison, he's the only proposal that I got. Had one gentleman come down and look at the building. He did not give me a proposal back. So this, unfortunately, this is the only one I have. But if you look at the scope of work that he's actually trying to do, again, that will address the rain, and we will add a 12 by 12 room for, you know, additional office space and things of that nature.
Yes, sir. Who had the hand up first here?
Go with Ms. Dodd.
Go with Ms. Dodd.
I was simply going to say that the quote that we got from Mr. Harrison for is basically $8,000. We do have $20,000 in the budget that y'all had put in there for site improvements down at the Public Works area. So we do have the money in the budget for it.
Does this meet our procurement policy?
That
You know, because it's an $8,000 project, and which means the bid process, the whole route, making it available to any and everybody to be able to bid on the project. Is it? I don't think this meets it, does it?
I don't think it does.
I was going to ask, did we send out RFPs, or did we advertise?
Basically, Mr. Everhart's been beating the bushes trying to get somebody to take a look at it and give us a quote. You know, we can.
I don't have an objection to it. If we have a procurement policy, we need to follow our procurement policy.
I just want to make sure we don't get in trouble for, about Mr. Attorney.
Well, the way you would not, if you, I'm not saying you're not going to follow your policy, I understand that you normally would be either number one is becoming an emergency because you got the mold issue. As you know, under Georgia law and then even under your charter and your code, you have an emergency exception and you need to go on and do it. And you've got somebody who's giving you a proposal. So that's a reason you can go ahead and do it. The second thing is because you think you put out some RFPs or whatever, and nobody is going to give you any further proposals about doing it, and I don't know how significant the problem has become. So I think to answer the questions about whether you deal with it now or you use your policy and make a decision later, I think we need to have an understanding from you, if you could kind of tell the council kind of what you've been through, how long you've been going out, trying to get somebody and all that stuff. You see what I'm saying? That makes a difference as to what y'all ultimately could do. So why don't we talk about what you've done about that process?
Again, I did reach out to 2 additional vendors, if you will, and one came down and actually looked at it and told me he would give me a proposal, but he didn't.
Excuse me, I hate to interrupt. How long has this been going on? That's, I guess, one time. Like you started this 2 months ago or 4 months ago?
Like back in July.
Okay, I'm sorry if you said that. I didn't give that. Go ahead.
So, and the third person did not respond back, and I called this other gentleman, actually physically came down, and he never did respond. So again, this is the only actual quote that I got from Mr. Harrison.
So I'd say to you, y'all know the community better than I do. It's been going on since July to now, the 3rd day of October. So the question becomes, if you feel like we've exhausted enough, and we got the emergency for the mold, that you want to go ahead and do it, or if you put out the RFPs, you got somebody that has given you that, that's somewhat unfair to him, I guess, but he can give you whatever other proposal you want to, and shorten the time period for some response by 15 days or 3 weeks or something. Failing getting any other proposals, then you've kind of done a little bit of a hybrid. You've taken care of your policies, but you go on and give it to the fellow if you wanted to do that. Now remember too, I'm not a huge believer in deferring stuff, but you got your October 27th meeting. Let's talk about that a minute. How bad, we hadn't had rain in Polk County in 73 days. I don't know about our county. But you know, I assume the Lord's going to give us some rain here before long. What kind of time frame do you think you're looking at? Let's assume the reverse happens to us. We have some Louisiana or northeastern rains. What kind of problems are we going to have down there if we wait?
Well, again, I mean, every time it rains, I mean, you got water, it enters the building. And it's just going to escalate the mold issue that we're having. So, I mean, again, from my perspective, we need to address this issue as soon as possible. Again, this is mold. And again, everyone that enters that building, health is at risk.
So the answer to your procedural question is, can you go ahead and do it now, declaring it to be an emergency, understanding what you've gone through since July, and answer is yes. And declare that publicly an emergency, go ahead and accept the bids and do it now, or do the hybrid and put an RFP out, Mr. Walton said, and give them a couple of weeks to do it. That's your decision, your policy decision.
Mr. Rockwell.
When, it needs to be advertised. I think it does. Now, if there's a time spec, if we do the hybrid, what do we have to advertise it for, 14 days?
Does your procurement procedure, Mr. Osborne, have anything in there about a minimum time in terms of advertisement? Good question.
I couldn't tell you now. I'm sure that it does. We have to research it. I assume it does.
Then, again, whatever that minimum time is, you're going to have to comply with it. So you, again, going back, either you advertise, comply with procurement policy, or you declare the emergency and do it now.
Rockwell, do you make a motion, sir?
Well, the motion would be that we advertise it.
Got a motion, Mr. Rockwell, Councilman Rockwell, that we advertise this. Here's second.
Or follow the procurement procedure.
Yeah. Correct. Procurement procedure. Did I hear a second?
I'll say.
Now, second from Mr. Simmons, any discussion?
I got a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Is this little room going to take care of the problem that you came up with before about not having the heat or the air conditioning in your other little room? So this is a separate room, right?
Right. And this will, as you read here, that will take care of installing the air conditioning unit in the wall.
Okay, is this tied in with the existing room?
Right.
Okay, so the heat and air will take care of both rooms. So,
Well, we have, we should, hopefully we'll get a big enough unit to supply this.
okay. Is the contractor still on our vendor list?
Yes, he's the one that actually done.
Motion second, any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's carried. Mr. Simmons, you have anything? No, sir. Mr. Rockwell? Mr. Rapp?
No, sir.
Mr. Walton?
I would just like to welcome Attorney Ray aboard, and we're pleased to have him here.
Mr. Rockwell. See you for just a second, sir. Got you. Thank you back to Councilman Tom Rockwell for his sincere appreciation and recognition of a job well done for Founder's Day, City of Temple, 2016. Mayor Lester Harmon, thank you, sir. Second by Mr. Simmons, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Have you eaten yet? You want to go get some? Do what? Okay, where you want to go?